Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a new edition of House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness. I'm Alex Payne. It's wonderful to be back with a favourite son of House of Rugby. The King is in the building. Welcome to Ben Ryan.
Good to be here.
Back in another new knit.
Yeah.
With winter upon us.
I don't know what this would be called. It's not a turtleneck.
No, it's a little seafaring number though. A little something from the back of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, yeah.
Nice to be here.
Looking well. You said you're knackered. Why are you knackered?
It's coming up to Christmas, just a lot on really, but
it's not a good thing to say at the start of the Christmas festive period.
Have you done your shopping?
No, I've bought one Christmas present so far, so that's it really.
Right.
But I'm off to New York next week, so for a bit of a break, so we'll get it all done then.
Fairy Tale of New York.
That's it.
What are you and Haas doing in New York then?
Well, this is the first time I knew that Hask was
what business are you guys
No, I'm just going to watch a bit of basketball, and we're just going to hang out and have a bit of fun out there.
Are you doing that as a fan and a supporter, or are you harvesting information again?
No, as a fan. Even though the Knicks are bottom of the NBA
Are they your
at the moment,
team?
yeah.
I went years ago and got the foam hand and the oversized
it's
singlet.
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great fun. Although I was in the gods. Do you get sort of courtside and to hobnob with?
I'm lucky that I know the staff there, so we get decent tickets and we'll go to we'll hang out with them afterwards. So yeah, it'd be nice. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Have you got a team?
What, basketball?
Yeah.
The only team I've been to see, actually two, have been Magic and the Knicks.
You went to see Magic? As in
No, Orlando Magic.
Oh, the Orlando Magic. All right.
No.
Do you like it? You into it? Or you're an NFL man?
More of an NFL man. I took Zara to watch the Knicks, and they weren't great. It was after this sort of Spreewell period, and she fell asleep.
Wow.
Which is quite hard to do in basketball because it's not even at that time. It's not that quiet, but she'll blame it on jet lag.
Baseball. You did the game at the London Stadium, didn't you?
Yeah, that was amazing, but because it was like 17, 15 or whatever it was, and there was home runs galore.
Yeah,
but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I almost went to watch my stag do in 2011. I almost stayed out another day because someone offered me tickets to Game 7 of the finals.
Oh, really?
Miami Heat versus I can't remember who they were playing. Then I thought it might be a good idea to go home.
Yes. Called back. the flashing red phone said time to get home.
No, I think it was time.
It was time. We had a few of those. Oh, you hit it out the park in Japan as well? Swung the bat.
It was good fun. I haven't been to an NFL game over there. I've been over here, but I'd love to go over there. I'd even like to go to a college ball game over there.
Yes, which are bigger than most Premiership rugby
Michigan
matches.
State, 110, 11,000 or whatever they get.
Yeah. Have you done reconnaissance in NFL? What, intellect sharing?
No, I've met a few coaches over time, but I haven't. Some of the stuff I do with Nike, we've got two different groups, the European group and the North American group. So the North American group have all those people in, so you can connect into them.
Yeah.
Just haven't taken advantage of that really.
No. Producer Sai is an NFL Norse.
He is an NFL.
He's a proper guru.
I always thought they could have a tackling coach in
Surevi's done a bit of tackling, weirdly.
Yeah.
Surevi's done to Seattle and done a bit.
Who has?
Surevi.
That is.
Because he was living in Seattle and working for
the king of defence.
Yeah.
That's it. So
the king of, I'll wait till they pass me the ball and then I'll do something.
Yeah. Wow. That's extraordinary. Very nice to have you back. Lots to talk about. We're going to get into a bit of Lions. Favourite topic in rugby.
Because it's just round the corner.
Well, they've just released the tour dates, obviously. We've got a Lions-related perfect pour. We're going to talk a bit about Rugby X and your five-a-side concept. And we're going to talk about all sorts of other bits and bobs, European rugby as well. Just before we do that, it was lovely to have Ollie Phillips on last week. Yeah. Did you have a listen to it?
I did.
He's quite the raconteur, isn't he?
He's good, isn't he?
Bon viveur and raconteur.
He said I go really red when I get stressed. I don't know if I do. I don't know if that's...
Right.
Maybe he's just like... I don't know. Ginger, I don't know.
It's sort of DEFCON 2 most of the time.
Yeah. Maybe that was just my permanent state of rest.
Exactly.
It might not be that I go that. It just...
I asked Rob where he thought Ollie ranked in British and English sevens players.
Yeah.
As the guru, where would you stick Ollie P?
He would have been the best England sevens player I coached would have been Damu.
Yes.
He when he was on form, he was untouchable.
He ended up at Exeter.
No, he just stayed in the army. He's coaching the Army Sevens now. He's sort of career Army guy and had a really bad injury in the Army Navy game, so that was him out a bit earlier. Went to Quins for a little bit.
Quins.
Yeah.
What are you?
Bits and bobs. It's probably the most talented. He actually had. I remember taking him to Scotland, and his roommate John Brake got woken up in the middle of the night because Damu said he was being throttled by a ghost.
Oh wow!
Which was and so that was unexpected.
Yes.
It's not what you wake up and expect
In your
to hear, is
contingency
it?
handbook, where is ghost throttling?
It's up there with
euphemism, but where is that in your?
No, I hadn't had that before.
Right.
I've never seen a ghost personally.
Right.
So I couldn't say yes or no whether it was.
Damn,
But he believed it, and he was making the noises to suggest there was a ghost
What
throttling
did
him.
John Brake do?
But he came running into the other people's rooms and saying exactly that, and he got mixed responses, really.
It would be what a video that would be if he'd stood up in the night and pretend to wrestle the ghost that was choking Damu off. So he's like, "I've got him, mate! I've got him!" And someone walks in. What is going on?
Yeah. Taking Damu off is something very different, though, isn't it?
Why
do you have to go there? Why do you do that? Have you ever seen a ghoul or a ghost in the corridors of some of Britain's finest palaces?
No.
Have you ever been woken up
There's
by
quite a good
strange noises
story
at
in
night?
the Holyrood House, in the fact that they have it was where Mary Queen of Scots was murdered.
Right.
Or not, she was murdered. Someone who was supposedly having an affair or something and they have like a red stain on the floor, and that's supposed to be where the blood was seeping through, which is quite good. But I don't know whether it hangs out the window or whatever, the ghost of it.
You'd have thought someone might have
say
cleaned that
the
up in the
ghost-
600 years since.
Well, exactly.
A little bit of vanish, bang, and the dirt is gone, or whatever it is. I'm trying to listen to producer Simon. My thing didn't what we're going. But have you ever seen a ghost? You've had a little unexplained
Bump in the night.
little bump in the
Oh, there we go. Oh, we're going there again, are we? No ghost.
No. Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
I can't say I'm a...
Funny enough, I did a thing
believer.
with Sam Warburton the other day. We'll hopefully have him on. He tells a very good story about ghosts the night before England-Wales in the 2015 Rugby World Cup. But I won't tell his story. He'll come back. So there are ghosts in rugby.
Well, he saw one in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And then we went on the ghost tour underneath the city in a day off, and he refused to do that. He just wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So
The Edinburgh is those vaults.
amazing,
It's just
aren't
like
they?
a buried city
Yeah.
up there. It's extraordinary.
So he's probably the best one. Yeah, Ollie had a purple patch really just before he signed for Stad, where he did some pretty amazing things. He just he's one of those guys doesn't look like he's going to get from there to there, but he always did.
Yeah.
Had a Fijian called Kitiani Talinga that was the same. Doesn't look like he's going to get that, get through a defender, and create something, but he did. So he was very useful at the abbreviated game.
Good on him.
Hell of a engine.
Yeah.
He was very complimentary about living with you. He was slightly less complimentary
Of course
about
it was,
living
but
with
it just
half.
raised my food bill by about 5 times.
rang a little silver bell and got what he
I
wanted.
didn't get to eat any of it.
He's quite the harvester. The other reason it's very nice to have you here is that in the words of Spike Milligan, I think it was, rumours of your demise were greatly exaggerated earlier this year because there was a sort of social media blast that you died run over by a Honda Civic in, was it Toronto?
Toronto, I think, which I wasn't in.
Quite a way to
Toronto.
go. What a disappointing way to go. I mean, I can think of more glorious ways to bow out than a Honda
If
Civic.
someone's going to make it up, you're at least going to give him a decent car, right?
What the hell was that about?
I don't know. I've had a couple. I've been arrested with a big drugs haul at Heathrow Airport. I've had that as well.
Right.
And I've died.
Is there just a
I've
lot of
died
people
twice.
who look like you?
You've died twice and been arrested for drugs.
Yes.
Quite yeah.
But actually, occasionally people believe it, which is But so that's happened. I don't know. I'm not the only Honda Civic casualty. I think there's been a couple of other rugby players.
Was it Jack Berger?
Jack Berger,
Yeah,
he got
he's having a reckless time of it.
They are bad
in
drugs.
Toronto. Watch out.
Did you ever get to the bottom of it, or was it one of those curious?
Yeah. Well, and my mum's not on social media, so you don't have to kind of allay her fears.
Did you do
Still
like
there,
Did you do like a Ross or Friends and set up a wake so you could see how many of your friends actually like you and came to pay privilege?
This is quite a dark.
Happy Christmas one and all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bizarre. What was the drug trafficking one then?
In Heathrow, apparently, I just got pulled.
Who broke this news?
It was on it was on fake news, and it's then goes into the social. Someone and then someone will pick up on that story, and it will go onto your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed, and it will always say something like a Telegraph or a newspaper headline, and if you look a little bit carefully, you can see that it's not the real Telegraph.
What's brilliant though is that you've got double jeopardy, so now you can do what you like at Heathrow, and people will just think it's more fake news.
Or I'm on the watch list now.
Or you're on the watch list. Yes, you blow green when you go through customs.
I was going to say, you're not helping him with his stealth if you just. Sorry about that. Next year, I'll bring you through.
Revenue and Customs. Anyway, very nice to have you here. One quick question before we get into it: have we had any update on the film? Anything you can tell us?
I can't tell you, but yes, it's all going well. But
quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, as far as these things go, film projects twist and turn. But it's on track.
And Damien's on the Christmas card list.
There could be lots of,
or Ron Weasley.
I guess you do have to give an option to a ginger actor because there's a lack of roles for them, but it doesn't have to be. They can dye hair and do different things.
Idris Elba,
that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
It'd be amazing. He's a man in demand. Any no timelines?
No timelines at the moment.
Very exciting. Okay, lots to get into. Should we start with Rugby X?
Sure.
Which we were following in Japan. So there's so much noise around it in social media. Would love to have got down to it. Some really good feedback and a lot of pizzazz around it.
Yeah.
As the boss, what did you make of it all?
Yeah, it was it's nervous, obviously. It's a brand new event. We've got no footage.
Yeah.
And it's a Tuesday at night and we've got to sell out the O2. And that's a hard ask, really. And our ticket sales in the first few months were very, very low, and then we just started spiking a few things, and we got to about 93% capacity. So
bloody hell,
17,500 on Tuesday night, and there's loads we've got to do to improve it. And if you are, a regular rugby goer, I'm not sure if it's going to be your bag.
Yeah, but surely you
Yeah.
go in there and you got to shake off those inhibitions. That it's not going to be, as Captain Coe will say, it's not going to be rugby as we know it, Jim.
No, it's not. It's not.
But you've just got to go and enjoy the spectacle. That's what it is. It's a spectacle of athletes.
100%. That's exactly what it is, and it's really simple. So anybody new into the game, and that's what we're trying to do, is get a younger group of people both playing and watching and coming to the events and watching telly. Yeah, it works. There's lots we want to do to improve it.
Yeah.
But as a starter, we couldn't be more pleased, really.
What do you want? What's on the to-do list with the product?
We definitely need to fine-tune some of the stuff around the laws.
Yeah.
Just there's a few things. The men's games sometimes are almost too fast, a bit like the early stages of basketball, where it's end-to-end and not as much drama.
Yeah.
Whereas the women's games were a little bit slower and flowed a lot better, and you could really, for the first time, it really could have showed off their skills.
Yeah.
And that was a big takeaway. Everybody went saying the women's games were the highlight.
Okay.
So we need to play around with that. I'd like to have more information to the crowds and just interact them a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a few things we could do around
Bit of
it.
wearable tech.
We did have tech on the ball, so it was measuring kick height. We had a maximum height, but nobody ever kicked above that for it to do anything. But definitely measurable tech that then goes into the crowd so they can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Not to say we're going to do it, but little things like what's to say that the crowd can't decide in fantasy football who your captain is gets double points, Why can't they do that?
Yeah.
Or in the one-on-ones decide on choose the player from the crowd, chooses who's your attacker, who's your defender.
Right.
Things like that to interact and to bring a bit more of a point of difference.
That is very cool.
So they're the sort of things we'd like to do, and we've also said to World Rugby, as long as it doesn't make the game more dangerous and doesn't make anyone look stupid, we also want to be a test bed for anything. So new people were coming to the games and they're watching the clock come down to 0, and then the buzzer is going. They're going, well, that's it, isn't it? So no, it isn't, because until there's a stoppage in play or something happens, and that then brings you. Well, do you have games where on the buzzer,
it just stops?
It just stops. It's like, well, could we trial it in this version?
Yeah.
With a possibility of it going into the other formats of the game? Answer is we could. So another thing that hopefully we could trial things out before they go into maybe 7s or 15s.
Fab.
But then you talk about drama. Does being able to play to the end of the whistle, does that guarantee drama because everyone keeps playing?
Yeah. I don't know what would make it more exciting, really.
But if the game's that open anyway, it would actually be it could be the other way around. They think they're going to score.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. In midair. Oh
Yeah.
my
Well,
God,
it's like
denied in midair.
last shot, isn't it? Of
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
And you just try to land it. It's
So things like that really, and just engaging, and because you can do stuff with the lights are pretty cool indoors.
Yeah.
You can just black out the whole stadium and then just put these lights in, and the music can be up to like a concert on heart rate and beats per minute and stuff like that. You can kind of make it pretty cool. So when the players came out for the first one, and there was a lot of reticence among the players, because they were thinking, well, look, we got Dubai Sevens in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Not all the unions were passing on the money that we were given direct to the players. Some were, some weren't. So
Right.
there was a mixture of like wanting to do this, but once they got into the O2. And just the sheer noise, and it really was not a noisy venue with the lights and music. Everyone got into it, and it's really quite exciting. And you've got Ugo pumping them up, and the commentators, and Ben Shepherd, and all the other stuff, and the razzmatazz, and it's cool.
Very
next
exciting.
year, Hask on the decks.
Yeah, he unfortunately wasn't available. He was in Japan, but we would have had him on the
And
decks.
you were a decent DJ. So.
Exactly. That's best to play and stop. Have you got a date for round two? Venue two?
No, look, we do all our wash-ups now, so get all the injury audits from everybody and exit questionnaires and all those sort of things. And then we go to we met World Rugby, and we'll go around all the unions and listen to all of those. But I think probably it's this sort of window, pre-sevens, sort of that October kind of window, I imagine, where we'll be looking to go. And anything we do is alongside World Rugby, so we're not trying to usurp sevens. We'd run alongside them and complement incomes and everything else.
Yeah.
So these players get a higher wage, which then going to mean they're going to stay in the sevens game because they're getting paid more.
Clever.
So things like that. We didn't. One of the other things. Sorry, Lawrence's charity were involved in it, and beforehand,
8 Rocks, is that the
the rugby works,
Foundation.
the pupil referral unit stuff, and we had kids from inner city schools that were playing tag versions of it. And there was a school from Ilford, and these kids hadn't even gone a train before. They were coming into the O2, and we're giving them the full kind of blast of it all with the lights and music and playing this. And you could see the talents there in some of these inner city schools. And so as a development tool, I think it's got real serious legs, because you can also play mixed versions of it. So it could be Rosenpart versus Richmond, and it could be the under-8s with the under-18s. But once the under-8s have scored a try, they're off and the under-18s are on. And within a 10-minute game, you could do that. So that all sorts of the ideas about only need half the resource, half the coach, half one referee, all those sort of things. So I think it's definitely got some length in it.
The inner city thing is absolutely fascinating. So I actually did an event last night with Kyle Sinclair, who is starting his own foundation.
Right.
Whatever he is, 24, 25. And he actually had Sadiq Khan messaging him during the Rugby World Cup saying, great to see, a boy who's come out of the inner city and has gone on to stand on the world stage. And what he is doing with his foundation sounds very, very exciting. And it's all about finding children with potential and saying, right, if you need a tube ticket to get to training, here it is. And if you need some kit, here it is. So it's picking out that talent and identifying it.
100%. So important. I mean, I do some stuff as well for a charity in North London, and it's about opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's not big ticket things.
Yeah.
It's like if it's like a kid going to training.
Yeah.
And it might be the cost of an Uber or a babysitter because the mum's got to go with him, and single parent families, or it might be the kid's embarrassed to go, that he's been selected for a football team but hasn't got any boots. So he's embarrassed to go. Yeah. And it's just those very small tickets that will give them the chance to be on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Then gives them then their talent can shine and all that opportunity.
You should definitely talk to Kyle about it, because he is, I think, building some quite interesting momentum behind it.
Love to, yeah. Ugo's doing something as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
What's his?
Ugo's also looking around a foundation as well for just having more opportunity in those areas as well. So and I know that Bill Sweeney, new CEO, is really positive about all of that, and he wants to get into areas that's non-traditional areas.
Yes.
93% of our kids are in state schools.
Yeah.
6% of age group teams in England are made up of the 7% of the schools, private schools. So purely from performance, and even if you're just looking at it like that, we've got a swell of talent that we're not really tapping into.
Yes.
And rugby has so many good things. The values, if we can align that as well. Yeah.
And do you see Rugby X as a very good way of unlocking that talent? Is that quite a big seam of
I
opportunity?
definitely think it's a tool because it's super easy as the laws. So you don't need to be a ex-rugby player as a teacher or a coach to be able to get this going. And obviously we want to match a lot of, so in all the commercial sponsorship, there'll be CRC involved in this, so a responsibility for percentage of any of that to go into grassroots.
Yeah.
So we want to do stuff alongside RFU and World Rugby and to get into areas where they're just currently not in, so we can help to boost things.
It's basically identifying talent, isn't it? Not necessarily do you need rugby talent to offer. I think it's shifted a little bit, isn't it? You look at rugby in the past, it used to be your knowledge of rugby and then you train to be an athlete. Now they try and find athletes first, and you can always learn the game as a secondary. You look at what Robbo did, flipping over from rugby league to rugby union. If you study it, you can get good at it.
Yeah.
If you've got the athletic ability,
Yeah.
then the rest can come.
But actually, even if you compare your crew in 2003 to the 2015, 2000, what year are we? 2019. It's been a long one, isn't it? The difference in demographics and education is extraordinary, and that is just in 16 years. It feels like there's a huge amount more that potentially can be done to unlock it, though.
Yeah, of course, but it's just such a vast marketplace. If I think what they've done better is getting people from other clubs. Like, it used to be all pretty much schoolboy based, didn't it, when I came out of it in 97, and then it was like, well, we need to get more club players in, and then that seemed to, with the academies doing such a good job of dragging those in, you were getting the younger, but then it needs to then throw its net wider over all schools and making sure you're getting to see. It involves not just going and watching rugby, it means going and watching other sports and just finding athletes and going, well, have you had a thought of, why don't you come and try this? And as you say, if it's such a simplistic in terms of, right, pick up a ball, you've just got to beat that guy, these are on your team. Or all you've got to do is be able to pass it left and right and then be an athlete.
Off you go.
And you'll find people who you go, well, actually, he's got it. Or mainly, you'll probably find people with the right mentality and the athletic. Then you go, well, he's got that.
Lots of
attitude.
Chances to get involved in the game at Rugby X. I used to go to watch the school athletics as well, English schools athletics, and just then see the 100-metre finalists, see if anyone's got any sort of team sport background, and then have a chat with them and find out where they were.
Did you pick anyone up?
There was one kid that went to Wasp Academy, and then he went back to track and field. We had a power to podium thing we did with UK Sport, where we looked at power athletes basically in all the sports and Rugby Sevens was then part of that, and we picked up two guys, one that played basketball at Brixton Top Hats and another that was a canoeist but had the fastest 40-metre time we've ever had, white kid.
On his arms.
And he was just like, Lemaitre, the French sprinter.
Oh, yeah.
That guy, like, seriously quick. So Sarri's had a crack with him and tried to get him into rugby and had about a year with him. And he kept breaking down.
Yeah,
but
offline stuff.
The women, it was offline stuff and contact. But the women's program part of that actually got a couple of girls that came through and played for England. So, that was off a zero rugby experience background. Yeah. So they're out there. Yeah. Plus kind of all the other additives that rugby brings you as far as teamwork and the code that you have. There's value in that in new territories.
Do you remember Dwayne Chambers going to rugby league?
Yeah. His agent used to contact me all the time.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. And NFL, didn't he?
Yeah, he was on the naughty step, wasn't he?
But the problem, but the same thing. He's got to run offline, which was the problem. He kept breaking down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Nigel Walker was the one who converted most. He was a Commonwealth Games sprinter, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did really well. Yeah.
Hey, Joe. Talking of Wales, am I right in saying there's an angle with the Welsh Prison Service who potentially are interested in getting what you're doing?
Berwyn, the super prison in North Wales. Yeah,
the super prison.
Yeah, they contacted us and asked us to go in, and we've obviously got to make sure that WRU are cool with that. But it's definitely something as well that we'd like to do.
You haven't been in yet.
Haven't been in yet. There's a brilliant.
Have you googled what do you have to do to get into a super prison?
What qualifies you for a super prison?
I'm sure they'll be delightful.
Yeah.
But there's also a brilliant charity already that exists, 3 Pillars, that go into prisons and run rugby. Yeah. So there's some really good projects already out there. So it's not about us reinventing the wheel, but then kind of latching on and giving them this as a tool.
Given all the potential, are you itching to get on with it, or do you have to have patience because there are so many conversations and governing bodies? And
yeah, you have to have patience. It took 2 years to get everything through to this point, and and so we have to build it, and we have to speak to everybody and make sure everyone's aligned and happy and understand what we're doing is complementary and not in opposition. I'm not saying it's going to be the next 2020, but they had a lot of opposition at the start. Especially from the cricket fans, the hardened cricket fans, a lot of which have gone across to it now. So some of these things will take time for that, but no, it's an exciting tool.
Would you have somebody popped up on my YouTube the other day, the Bath Wigan games in '96? Which were unbelievable to watch. God, that Wigan team was good. I just wonder. I mean, someone asked the question the other day. I can't remember how it cropped up about whether the two will ever come together. I just wonder whether, you're never going to see the Premiership and Super League merge, but whether actually at the bottom you might run an event which is 6 from the Premiership and 6 from Super League, and actually it kicks off and suddenly...
You definitely could do that. I mean, again, like my last year with England Sevens, I met, and Barry John Mather was involved with the Rugby League, and we'd both asked our CEOs whether we were okay to have a conversation with each other about sharing players. So we're talking about the young Great Britain Rugby League players, the age group ones, just weren't getting overseas experience and travel enough. They were in that M6 corridor, and when they were going overseas, things weren't going well. And they wanted to get that international experience by being part of our Sevens program. And I saw the talent there, and we not exactly got a big pool with the issues in the game to get Sevens players. So I was all for it, and that was something that was going to happen. Then I left, and Barry John's gone to Australia. I think he's in Australia now. Yeah. So that didn't happen, but there's no reason why that couldn't get resurrected. Yeah, that's an area, particularly since league's never going to be an Olympic sport, really. Yeah. It's an opportunity for them to kind of show off their league players. Yeah. So those there's nothing wrong with thinking laterally at that level. Yes. Yeah.
Do you think what you have as Rugby X, I mean, is the vision to grow it to the point that it sits underneath 15s, perhaps ahead of sevens, or do you think it's a totally different concept?
I think it's a bit different. I don't think we don't want to compete against 15s or sevens. It's a gateway at grassroots, and it's an exciting just variation indoor game where a lot of tier 3s as well. They've started. So it's just got house rugby are doing it, like schoolhouse rugby, because lack of numbers. So loads of schools been doing it last week at Rugby X, and then your Mauritius and people like that have been running tournaments at Rugby X because lack of resource, lack of pitch, and lack of numbers. This works for them, and so it's basically under 11s laws of the game. It's not much different to that.
Amazing.
We've and you jazz it up a little bit, and then just explain the laws a bit more and get it out there. Yeah. Get people like Hask and Lawrence and Ugo behind it, and it starts to rumble. We have to get you involved as well, and then really get it moving.
Yeah.
No, but it's
royal warrant just to help you on your way. Find one of those down the sofa. I mean, interestingly, there is so much potential within it. It sort of feels like you're the tip of the iceberg from where the concept began.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's quite excited about it, but like I said, we have to do everything in alignment with the RFU and World Rugby, and that's the plan. So slow steps.
I can't wait for the day that you have someone a little bit more reliable than Alan Stanford, but someone who says, right, £1 million on this final, and you've got a one-on-one for the players to disperse 7 figures between them, and that will be appointment viewing. Yeah, or maybe not. I don't know. You'll be on a 10% commission. You're very happy.
World Rugby. Who's your go-to one-on-one?
Best attacking one-on-one.
And then
I'd go Semi-Randrun.
Cheslin Colby?
Yeah, I was
Colby's not bad. Yeah.
So who's defending him?
He's
Someone
had the
with
biggest
real
growth
pace.
in social media numbers of any rugby player on the planet this year, Cheslin Colby. There's a stat for you. Hask is second. The campaign.
Is he active on it, or is just his highlights?
Who, Cheslin or Hask? Yeah. I don't know. I don't follow him. Someone showed me that the other day.
Was that the Twitter stato?
Something like that. Very interesting.
Who would defend him then?
You'd have to have someone with real gas, wouldn't you? That could do. Oof. I don't know. The honey badger back in the day.
Quadzilla in the. Is he that quick?
He's quick, straight line. I didn't see much of him in Dubai, so I wouldn't know how good he is as a tackler.
Carlin,
actually, well, not as a defender.
No, you get there. Whether you do anything when you're there is a different thing.
Some of the England back row at the moment might be up for the challenge. They certainly get the angles right, and I like that sort of stuff.
I knew
it's
angles I'd never catch Colby on a full pit, on a full
rondonculus in terms of the skills. Good luck. It's really exciting to watch. Can we come to the next one and do a little?
Of course,
Funny enough, I was saying to this to you in, was it you or Hask in Japan? I would love a club to be brave enough to give us the keys to the PA on match day. How much fun would that be? We could do a live House of Rugby from the booth at Kingsholm.
That would be amazing.
Maybe not.
I reckon we might be able to pull something.
Well, they got cross and they played music, didn't they?
Well, yeah, just because they love an old military band. Don't shake it up, but they still probably like some quality banter, though.
We are available for any PA engagements.
You could get a couple of the shed members in with us, and then
it'd be like a live version of Gogglebox.
Yeah.
Good luck. Keep us posted.
Will
it's
do.
Very, very excited for you. Midpoint Trail. So you are watching and listening to House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends at Guinness, with me, Alex Payne, alongside Mike Tindall and Ben Ryan. Nice to be with you as always. Still to come, we're going to have a chat about the Lions, and we've got a Lions-related perfect pour. But on TKO this week, Carl Frampton not only tried a mince pie for the very first time in his life, which was very good viewing, but also answered back to the criticism from George Groves that he was hanging on to maintain the status of a professional boxer. Controversial much? Have a listen to this.
This bullshit, isn't it?
You sort of stoked the fire when Callum Smith was on a few weeks ago, because you said, I think George might have quit. I remember looking at you thinking, I know you don't probably necessarily mean that, but
Do you know what? I don't mean it. Would I class George Groves as a quitter? No. I was having a dig.
Because of what's happened.
Because of what's happened before.
Right.
And
Tell me
people
what's
may say
happened.
unfairly, but I don't think it was unfair.
Right, well then, take
main
me to
reason
the
he
top.
tried to embarrass me. But anyway, Tommy Coyle was fighting on the AJ undercard. I'm getting really animated here. I can feel myself. Tommy Coyle was fighting on the AJ undercard in New York, AJ Ruiz.
Yeah.
I had to walk through a room to get into Tommy Coyle's change room, and I walked through this room, and George was there with there was another couple of guys from JD.
Josh Denzel?
Him. He was a Love Island guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah. He's nice.
And there was a few people in the room. So George and like that Josh fella and a few other people. And I walked over and says, "How you doing, George?" Like, trying to say hello. And he just went, like, blanked me, complete me, and embarrassed me in front of these people. I remember walking out of the room thinking, what a fucking prick.
Oh, so that's when it was in New York. It wasn't. When I said to you, "Oh, there's an awards ceremony,"
It was in New York.
It was in New York.
So that is TKO with Carl Frampton and Chris Lloyd. They're back this week with a special episode with the insider in the Anthony Joshua camp, who obviously taught him how to beat Andy Ruiz Jr. What a fight that was. Well done to AJ. Don't forget, you can also sign up to the House of Rugby Facebook group. And with Christmas fast approaching even, what more would you like than some House of Rugby merchandise for the stocking? You can buy that now at shop.joe.co.uk. Where is your...
I love that one. You always...
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I wake up in cold sweats with shop.joe... Oh, I'm doing it again. Shop.joe.co.uk. Would you like a T-shirt?
What colours do you do them in?
We do yellow.
Yellow wouldn't come on.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
We could do grey. That would
Grey,
go
yeah.
very nicely with the genre.
Grey seems to be the
Grey it is. And remember, we want to see your House of Rugby T-shirts on television games, the biggest matches. Give it a wave, whatever it might be, and the winner gets a very special prize. Have we seen any since our one and only?
No, I haven't.
No, the phenomenon and the trend has yet to catch fire.
Yeah.
Well done to the lone shark. We found the lone shark, producers. We have found the lone shark.
That's amazing.
He's coming in after Christmas. Somebody waved a T-shirt at a game, and we got
All you
excited.
have to do to get on the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Quick World Cup debrief. Did you go out to Japan, Mark?
No. I picked up some of the remnants.
You hoovered up everything back here. Well done, you.
Yeah.
The World Cup breakfast. What did you make of it as a visionary and a?
Well, because I had bits and bobs on a few different aspects, I had to watch. Watched all the games, so I loved them. I mean, the highlights for me were the performances of Japan.
Love
Just
that.
thought they were brilliant. I enjoyed large parts of some of the Fijian performances. First half an hour against Australia, first half against Wales, that was great. The England-New Zealand game was phenomenal. I thought the French were unlucky. I thought they could have, there were lots of highlights, and just the crowd looked cool, and it worked.
It was amazing. Have you explored Tokyo on your travels before?
Yes, with the sevens. Had to go out there. I had to. I went out there once. We had a sevens player, Uchidoza, that played for Suntory.
Yes.
He scored a try against Fiji from behind our own posts in San Diego. Went on YouTube, went viral, and Suntory signed him on the back of that. He played one game, got injured, but on his contract, that then they paid out his contract. That paid for his medical studies. He's an A&E doctor now in Homerton Hospital.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool. So I had to go out there to get released for the tournament that he got injured in.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to fly out to show that it was important to them to do that. So I literally had to show face. I was there for 30 seconds with a Suntory coach. He said, yeah, you can have him. And Uchi showed me around the sites for a bit. And then we went on the World Series to Tokyo.
Yeah.
For about 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I know Tokyo. I love Tokyo.
It's an amazing
Shinjuku,
city.
But yeah, it's so cool. But I haven't been outside that.
Yeah. We had a good time. We've done this before. Steve Hansen, interesting, talking of Japan, has taken up a job as head coach at Toyota Verblitz.
Has he?
Catchy tune.
Yeah.
Is that an interesting move from your perspective for one of the greats?
It's a short season. He loves his coaching. It pays well. It's a new culture. Something different, exciting.
Gets out of New Zealand.
Yeah,
It's probably a bit of a downtime for recharge the batteries on a short season and look at something different. It's always nice to see something different, isn't it?
I mean, where else? He's not going to go to another international team. He probably doesn't want to go Super Rugby. So,
surely can't really go France or somewhere.
No.
That'd be just brutal.
Yeah, so makes sense.
He gave a really interesting interview this week. I'm not sure if you've seen it already or not, but he said the All Blacks lost to England because they weren't 100% coming off the victory over Ireland, and that England were desperate, having waited 2.5 years for the game. And he said his mental messages through the week weren't what they could have potentially been. Do you understand that?
Well, I guess what he's saying is they just weren't quite on point.
That's all it takes at that level.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Like,
difficult.
The fact that there's such
they made
a
700 metres of attack. They made something like 16 line breaks. England just every time they made a line break, where New Zealand normally finish, England chased back in 4s and 5s and stopped that.
Yeah.
So it's amazing if you go back and look at how many line breaks they had. Normally, you would go, well, New Zealand win that game.
Yeah.
England were.
The visualization of that game though, you completely forget all that. All I can remember is England absolutely dominant from start to finish. 2 tries chalked off.
Yeah, I just listened to Eddie's book on audio.
Oh, have you?
So obviously he talks about that.
Did he read it?
No, that's the disappointing thing. He didn't read it. An Aussie guy did it, and he also got pronunciations of so many people wrong, and that really wound me up.
Ouch.
When he doesn't pronounce
Owen Farrell and
Marco Vinapo. There was just tons of them.
Okay,
and that kind of just made it all feel a bit sloppy and that side of it. But he talked well about that and how he targeted that and how he'd done that as well in 2003 semi-final where they had their kind of game of the tournament, Australia, in that semi. And they had that game of the tournament there as well. So
there's that extraordinary stat that no team that's ever beaten the All Blacks in a World Cup has ever won their following game. Because of how much it takes out of you, I presume. I don't know. How successful do you think Steve Hansen will be in Japan? Is it a case of some quite good coaches out there, actually? But
yeah, there are. And it's 10-game season now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been
10-game warm-ups.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The
Wayne Smith's out there at the moment.
Is he? Well,
he's got Carter as his 10. That's quite a useful addition.
And if Hansen doesn't do well, no one's really going to worry too much. I mean, he's
It's interesting one with DC. Like he's obviously had a bad neck injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, why does he want to come back and play? What does he?
I imagine that his bank balance is probably enjoying this 10 games.
I'm pretty sure his bank balance isn't really affected by him going and playing Japan, is it?
I don't know. He was out in Japan. Did you not chat to him about it and say, what are you doing?
He said it'd be a great story. I was like, well, mate, your career's been a pretty great story.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go, oh my God, this is the best thing about your career, that you managed to come back from a neck injury and play in Japan, for a club side in Japan.
Fair play. It's hard to know, though, isn't it? If you still think you've got shots to play.
Well, I think he's just so driven still. Watching him he was sat next to him when we were watching the England game. He was literally living every moment of it.
Really?
Like, didn't speak. You know, when people...
Yeah, exactly. That old swaying in the chair.
Yeah.
You had cigar and beer. Exactly.
The game.
Let's talk British and Irish Lions, my favourite subject in the game. Schedule announced for South Africa late last week. Down to 5 warm-up games now and 3 tests. 8 games instead of 10. It's getting clipped ever shorter. Is this a rugby tragedy or an inevitability of the modern professional game?
It doesn't need to be a casualty of the modern game if planning's in place and they see it as a priority to part of the global calendar.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not the case. There's not enough key shareholders that see the value in it, and therefore it's getting squeezed. Yes, obviously everyone enjoys it, and particularly the next one's in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Just as a player, do you think you need 10 games on a tour?
I think it's about a tour.
Yeah, but all tours are different now.
Yeah.
You're saying that the Lions shouldn't change.
I don't think it should, no. I think it should
You're saying
be
with
10
player
games.
welfare, with everything else, that the Lions should stay the same.
Yeah, I would find room for the Lions.
So the Premiership suffers on the back
in
of it, and the
whatever
people who
way you
pay
go.
all the players' salaries. Suffer
I
on
don't think the
back of
Premiership
it.
has to suffer necessarily. I think there is a way of working both together. Is there not? 35,000 people are expected to travel to South Africa in support of the Lions.
8 games over a month, over 5 weeks, is still a pretty good tour.
Okay.
And I suppose if they said, look, that's going to be protected going forward, but you're going to cut down to 8 games, Lions would take that. Everyone would take that.
Yeah,
But-
like if you're going into a season, you will play 3 warm-up games. So you're now saying that because they would play far more than that. Well, they'd obviously play.
Yeah, but
7.
you're going on to take on the world champions
that's
in their own
that's
backyard
irrelevant.
with some of the
irrelevant
guys who
who
never
play.
played together.
But that you still only need 4 games because they will be together for a month probably before that as well. So it's going to be like
No, they
rolling-
won't. The Premiership, the first game of the
Well,
Lions tour is a
depending
week
on-
after the Premiership final.
Yeah, so it depends on who in the Premiership final. Obviously, you get people later in,
Yeah.
but you'll have some people for a longer period.
Okay, so you're pro a shorter tour.
Well, I think it's just the nature of the beast. Now that you're limiting people's games to 35, and player welfare is, you can't harp about player welfare and then suddenly go, okay, for the Lions it's completely different.
I don't think it necessarily has to be completely different. It's just maintaining what it's always been. Well, in fact, it's been trimmed from 13 to 10 since it was 97 to 2001.
Yeah, but 13 games. Who needs to play 13 games on a tour?
But it's once every 4 years.
Yeah, but be realistic. You know, games move on. Don't get stuck on nostalgia.
Well, the counter argument is it's shortening a Lions tour is knowing the price of everything and the value of nothing. It's the most, for you talk to those who've played for the Lions, and they say it's the most special thing of their
of course,
career.
but is it going to be Is it going to be that much diminished by knocking off 5
I
games?
think it reduces the opportunity across the board. I'm sort of being pushed into a counter argument to your point.
Yeah,
I'm just.
no, I want to, well, that's what the whole point of me.
I think if you ask the supporters, they'd rather have a 10-match Lions tour and the Premiership final a week earlier, in the main, in order to preserve the Lions tour.
I also think in the future, what current state of play is not going to be the current state of play. So it's not probably in 4, 5, 6 years' time. We might not be having a Premiership. It might be combined and
British and Irish League.
whatever it is. I mean, there's so many moving parts at that top end now.
But it's very difficult once you've trimmed it to build it back up again, isn't it?
Probably. But yeah, 8 games is not bad.
8 games is a bloody good tour.
Okay. Mick Cleary in the Telegraph said it was the death knell for the Lions, a betrayal of the essence of the Lions.
all of
Stephen
those
Jones was
old
similarly strong.
Bastards live in the past. It's like, move on. You can't say the game needs to adjust and needs to change, but then one entity stays as it always has done. You know, you can't live on the 73 or 73. Is that right?
71.
71. Lions. You can't. The whole game's revolving. You can't then just say just because it's great. It's not going to get diminished. I guarantee that tour will still be a great tour. It will still be talked about because there's still the Lions going against the world champions. It's still going to have everything about it. When they trimmed it from 13 to 10, everyone still talks about the tour in New Zealand and the draw and everything else and all the the flashpoints that are in there. You're not going to. That's not going to change just because you knock 2 games off.
Yeah. And domestic competition. So in South Africa, there are less clubs at that level now.
So they should go and play Namibia, or
there's all that argument.
That would then you're opening up something different if you're then expanding the game in terms of. But then they played the Barbars on the way to in 20.
So you can play Namibia,
and we got smashed. So then people said, well, what was the point in that game? So if the Lions played Namibia and then smashed them, what's the point in that game?
Well, because it's spreading the rugby gospel and giving Namibia time in the spotlight that otherwise they would never have.
Purist, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps rugby needs a bit of purism every now and again.
But I hardly
ahead of commercialism.
Stephen Jones. Well, I know why Stephen Jones and McCleary have said that, because they just love going out there for 6 weeks and smashing it up.
I think it's a little more than that. Do you think genuinely you would think differently if you had? And I know it's a regret if you'd played for the Lions, you'd think differently.
No. Tour is what a tour is. I don't dictate what a tour is.
I know you don't, but if you'd been a Lion and you'd experienced it and you were part of the fabric of the history, there are very few things in sport now that are as valuable and hark back to history and create legends from a one-test encounter in the way that the Lions does.
Yeah,
there's not much else out there.
You're not going to miss out on that, are you?
No, but you're diminishing it with every tour. You're reducing it.
Well, no, I agree with you.
You're reducing the opportunity. You're reducing the preparation time. You're reducing the chance for them to build
of a tour.
What?
That's perfect length of a tour for me.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding.
So you're out there. You're going to be out there 3 weeks before the first test. You're going to play four games.
Well, no,
5 games.
No, yeah, but the players won't.
Well, no, they'll still play.
Yes, but the preparation time and the game time together is reduced.
Yeah, of course it is. But then that's the nature of the beast of how rugby is now.
But do you want the Lions to have the best shot at being victorious in South Africa, or do you just want to trim it because,
Well, you've got to get the best out of both worlds. And I don't think 13 games benefits any of the players.
I'm not calling for 13 games. I just think 10 gives the Lions. You know way more about this than I do.
No, I just think they should have a guiding principle around Lions tours should stay, and that there should be a minimum amount of games that they can't go below, and whatever that's agreed, and then stick with that and there'll be other moving parts on who they play. But I think 8 games in the current landscape isn't something that's a bad thing. I understand the reticence in thinking that next time it'll be 6. Next time it's the thin end of the wedge. So just have a guiding principle.
Because we're realists.
I'm used to it. I'm disappointed.
Perhaps a rugby purist who lives on memories.
Yeah.
But then you haven't played. I think the players won't want to go from a 10 game series or tour to then have to come back and go pretty much straight into more rugby. You've got to think of them as well. I know what you're saying in terms of, I never got to be a Lion, so I never got to experience it. And if I did, it would have been a 10. When did they cut it from 13 to
97? I think it was to 2001.
So I would have 2001, 2005 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I would have only done a 10. But I think I would always look at it how I would like to approach a season, and 4 games is probably. I know you're not going to play all 4 of them, but you're going to have to double up every now and again because that's the nature of it. You're going to have to play one Saturday, then probably sit on the bench occasionally.
Yeah,
especially if you're like a multi-purpose back. So,
your biggest regret that you never did it?
I don't have regrets, my friend.
Good on you. Well
I always say I would never. People always ask that question. It's an easy one to go yes. But then would I change what I had to then just be a Lion? Then no, because I was pretty happy with everything that went. I think I would have been a very good Lions tourist.
No doubt about that. You may well still get selected on those grounds, to be honest with you.
That could then have worked against me. Good. But it would have been hard for me because I would have been always up against Dricko and obviously Jamie when he was on fire, Shanks, Gordon. I think of the first time I've called Darce Gordon, but so
Greens.
But I would have liked those battles, but
yeah,
I'd have probably been a great midweek player.
I don't feel I've argued that terribly well, which is frustrating because.
But I get what for a fan.
I've come to a gunfight with a penknife, which is a bit disappointing.
For a fan who is sat at home, yes, of course they would want 10 test matches. But then
not test matches, just 10 tour games.
10 tour games. But then the practicality around that, I think with the way the world is now, that's just not feasible. But I agree with you that I would lock in 8 now. I would say that is the minimum a Lions tour could.
Yeah.
I think anything that takes 35,000 people to the other side of the world in support of a team that comes together once every 4 years deserves to have a 10-game tour. It's not too much to ask.
I think 35 will still go.
Well, maybe they will, but they might well see a squad that has, not had enough preparation time, and therefore
Are you still gonna
concept dies.
So if the Lions lose,
Yeah.
we'll let you come back and have this argument. If they win, then we'll tell you shut up. Yeah?
Apparently, Gatland's trying to get another game in before he goes anyway, so 9 may well be the magic number in this instance. Good.
There's your Namibia then.
What?
There's your Namibia.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Jack Berger called for that.
Yeah.
That is the kind of thing that would get people.
And that's
headlines.
and I agree. That is
Rugby
what
needs.
That is what the Lions is about.
Yeah. And
Combined Africa team, no?
What you-
Namibia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Uganda,
Ivory Coast.
Funny enough, I was talking to Yaya Touré's brother, who's at Leicester City. He's a very good coach in the academy.
Golo?
Yeah, Golo Touré.
Cool.
And he was talking to me about the Ivory Coast World Cup because he's from the Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
And it's because rugby was big in Ivory Coast. And they qualified for second, 87, 91. They were in the.
They were there in '95 as well.
And one of their captain broke his neck.
Max Brita.
Yeah, and just the game disappeared pretty much overnight in the country.
Yeah, Ivory Coast was on Joe Loma Rugby.
They were,
weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he talked about it really he knew everything that was going on.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I would love to interview Max Brito, who broke his neck, and it sort of became a forgotten man in the sport. And funny enough, I think they were fundraising for him last year. But one of those guys who
Get Golo Touré on
Get
instead.
Golo Touré, yeah.
He's the expert.
Yeah.
Ivory Coast rugby in the
Big
80s and 90s.
Whatever
Yeah.
happened to Chinese Taipei? They were in '95.
they were
Were they?
there. Were they there?
You could play Chinese Taipei, couldn't you? On Rugby?
Yeah, you
on Joe
could.
Loma?
The old,
Must have
the
been
old
there.
double A.
Yeah, well, you double A them, and they
Mercy me,
they didn't get anywhere.
What for?
They didn't get anywhere.
That's an
Chinese
maternity
Taipei.
ward. Arguably some of Bill Beaumont's finest work in the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite jokes at the moment.
What?
Where can't you hide in a hospital?
Why?
ICU.
That is very good. Thought it was some sort of NHS election gag, at which point we're all going home. Yeah, very good. I like that.
Thank you.
You got that in the early cracker.
I've held on to that one for a while.
Cracker gag. Good. Well, I'm glad that you have given the Lions the big up that I was hoping for. And with that in mind, would you please give me your 1 to 15 Lions team? They'll all be introducing themselves ahead of the first test because they're going to have 20 minutes. This is our Guinness Perfect Pour, our weekly test in 119 and a half seconds, because that is how long it takes to pour the perfect pint of Guinness. It's never too early to pick a Lions 15. Are we doing this based on if the test was tomorrow or what we think the first test will be?
I'm not taking into
2
account
weeks' time?
injuries on this one.
Right.
So some might not be fit
So
right
carte
now.
blanche in terms of selection,
So
availability.
basically, who you'd pick now if everyone was fit?
Right. And is this to
Or
play
have you
this
gone on-
weekend?
I've gone on.
I've taken form basically from the World Cup, really. Rather.
So this is a World Cup.
I've gone on who's available to play this weekend.
Good.
Okay, so we're
different
gonna get,
criteria.
We're going to get
Good.
Good
Float-
group.
floating
But I might
vectors.
have got loads of-
Who would like to go first?
Let Ben go first.
Ben, go first.
So, and I'm hoping I've got my injuries correct. So I'd have Healy. Well, obviously you'd have to have a strong bench for
Yep.
South Africa. So I'd have Healy, and then Marler would be coming on for
Yep.
him. Jamie George, and I'd have McAnally
Yep.
coming on for him, and I have Sinks, and I have Furlong coming on for him.
Cool.
Alan Wynne and Marrow in the second row. And then I went with Wainwright, Curry, and Don Brandt.
Wow.
I just thought,
Uni Rig starting in a.
he's playing
Lions
really
first test.
well.
Yeah.
He doesn't, from what I've seen, he doesn't make many mistakes, or if any.
Yeah.
He gets go forward and he's solid, and and Guzzy's done a terrific job of sharpening him up. So I'd have him. I'd have
I like that.
Gareth Davis at 9, Farrell 10. I've gone for Johnny May, and I probably now have and Liam Williams on the wing if he's fit.
Yeah.
I've got fullback and Manu at 12 with Ringrose at 13.
I
But,
like that.
but you
Some
could,
good players not there.
yeah, loads. You could easily have a different midfield
yeah.
and different back three.
And how
And
would
Anthony Watson's injured.
Yeah.
So.
that? Okay. I like that.
I'm going to change it up.
Hogg to
just
get his first
because
test cap.
I can
Instead of
change it
talk.
up because I've written about 35 names down.
I like that.
Um,
I love Don Brandt at 8. I think that's a great show.
Well, obviously, I've picked Mako because with Healy as his backup.
Yeah.
And Cowan Dickey played well at the weekend, so I've just stuck him in.
Wowzer. One good game and he goes something. He'll need that, actually. That's how you're going to pick the Lions, Tor.
I had Sinks and obviously my mate Tag.
Good.
Tad.
Yeah.
Taj. TG.
We need that photo printed, by the way.
Yeah,
From Rory Best testimonial. We need that on the wall.
Itoji. I've actually gone Gray as a 5. I just think you need a Scottish lock in there. Just
Do you?
for body.
You got Maron and Johnny Gray.
Yeah, there's not much power in there, but there's good line-out options.
Good. Keeping everybody all bases covered as well.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You are leaving out some titanic second rows.
Yeah, I did have Ryan. Ryan would be in around that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Cruz and all those, but I'm just going to
Good.
say
Yeah,
whatever I want.
Johnny Gray, well
Tom
done to you.
Curry. Actually, seems though you went that way. I'm going to go Don Brandt at 6, Underhill at 7, and Vanapola at 8.
Right. Dropping Curry. Good. Not necessarily good dropping Curry, but a lot we've done there.
I know, just to make it different.
Yeah.
Then I've got. I had Williams at fullback, Watson, Ringrose. I'm going to just change it now because you had Manu at 12, so I'm going to go Farrell at 12. I'm going to go Josh Adams
Good shout.
on the other wing. I'm going to go Finn Russell at 10.
Jouet.
With Sips on the bench.
Lovely. Why not? Yeah.
Gareth Davies at 9 with Cooney on the bench.
There is a lot of flair in there.
Yeah. Handle.
That's a Rugby X line.
Yeah.
I'd chuck Sips in there as well. So.
Would you really?
Well, probably, yeah.
The kick at the weekend, deliberate.
I didn't see it.
What
So-
I think
The 7-iron across the field.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Have you not seen that?
Not the.
In his
I saw
own
the
22. So if that's the 22 and you're playing out, he received the ball, pressure, he's over here, received the ball, pressure came on, and he hoofed it directly across the pitch to his winger.
Still not going to. I'm not going to be able to tell you whether I thought it's
Good.
based upon.
Glad I described that very well.
Based upon what you've just done with your fingers on
Come
an
back,
8-4.
come back to me next week with it. It's absolutely amazing if it was intended. It's amazing even if it wasn't, but the kid has got some flair, that's for sure. Can we finish on a light note for the Lions? Can we just agree that they are and should be protected?
Yeah, you need
at
to
all
ring
costs?
fence, but you do need to protect them. I just think there needs to be an agreement on a minimum, and then they know that that's going to be protected, and 8-game minimum for the next 2 or 3 tours. I think they could end up looking back at that and going, we've got ourselves a good deal with all the other moving parts in the professional game at the moment.
Still think it's a shame. You've seen it?
I'm just about to watch
You're watching something else.
No, I'm just about to watch it, but I've got to watch Arlene saying...
No, Raylene.
Raylene.
Quick word on that. ARU have done all right with that, haven't they? Fairly.
Have they disclosed the sum now?
Well, apparently it was 3 million Aussie dollars, but he was suing them for 14. Or are there just absolutely no winners in this story?
No,
whatsoever?
there's no
there's
not winners.
Yeah.
I don't think. And I think they offered him that ages ago. And then he decided not to take
Very
that.
huge shame on all parts. Any other bits and bobs? Where are you for Christmas?
Go to New York
Oh, yes,
on
you are.
Monday for a bit of a break.
Yes, you said that. You're not staying. Are you staying out there for Christmas?
No, we're coming back and then doing various family bits and bobs. So it'd be fun.
Happy days. Tins.
That is definitely not on purpose.
Shut up.
Sure.
Shut up your face.
What do you think, Ben?
Can we have a look at it
So
again?
we're now watching the Cipriani
Yeah.
crossfield hack.
Yeah.
How
What's the pressure that
well,
comes
I
on?
mean, it's fair
Okay.
play.
If it isn't,
It doesn't look like it.
perfectly executed. That is deliberate.
No.
That's not deliberate.
No.
I can't believe you're saying that. You've done down the lines.
And
You've
obviously,
done
well, based upon if Sips says it was deliberate, it's deliberate. I believe him. But has he said anything? Has he come out?
he's done it before. Either he's regularly shanking it across the field.
If he said
or
he
he's got a
did
little
it
something
on
wrong.
purpose,
In
then
all
fair
fair,
enough.
he definitely didn't set up to hit that kick, but then he might have known he was going to get charged down, and then just thought, "I've got to get."
I'd just go on whatever he says, to be honest with you.
Kid's got flair. Any other bits from you? What are you doing this week? What's happening? What's occurring?
We're into the full Christmas swing now, aren't
Are
we?
you?
Yeah,
Is that a lunch and a dinner every day? Professional lunching.
pretty much. Last week was quite hard. We did. We had like the Green Room Christmas Live last week, which
Yeah.
is always a very long lunch. Then I had to do an auction prize.
Wow.
Yeah.
Off the back of a long lunch.
Yeah, and then the next day I had to go to Ireland to Belfast for a Keith Duffy Foundation event, which was obviously very quiet.
Yeah.
And then get up at 5:30 to get a flight back. And then Mia's Christmas gymnastics show.
I love that. Duffy's Christmas shindig, followed by Mia's ballet recital.
Yeah. So yeah,
Was she good?
she was good. It was
Very proud.
quite long. It was like 3.5 hours.
What?
Well, yeah, because it did everyone. It's quite the Cirencester Gymnastics Club's quite massive,
Right.
and they all had the show. It was quite entertaining though.
Oh, okay.
Good little athletes in there.
Christmas show next week. Are we rigging into our suits again?
Yeah. Do I need to call Jelly?
Can we?
I'll call Jelly.
Give them a shout out. They are
Oppo Suits.
Oppo Suits.
Jelly from Oppo Suits. If you are listening, we will.
Did
be
you ever
giving a
watch
ring.
our Christmas show last year?
I can't remember the jelly suits, but I'm pretty. Maybe I heard it.
In
Maybe
times
I
of
heard
need,
it.
even in August, July, June, I'd just dip into that Christmas show because it was. It sort of was the spark that kicked us into where we are now, wasn't it?
Yes, most likely.
Ho, ho, ho. Thank you very much indeed for coming to
been a
see us again.
pleasure.
Will you pop back and see us again soon?
Thanks for having me.
Good luck with all things Rugby X in the short term. Michael, we'll see you next week in our jelly suits.
Yeah.
Off the long run.
Yeah.
Should be good fun. That is it for this week. A very nice ramble through one or two rugby topics. Anything we've not covered that we should have done? Keep asking that. No, I think we got most things done this week, didn't we? Normally we don't. Bits and bobs to finish off with. That is it for this week, as we've already said. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the House of Rugby. Don't forget to download and watch some of Joe's other programming. Liquid Football with the fabulous Kelly Cates. TKO with the mince pie eating Carl Frampton. Thank you, fellas, once again. We will be back next week with our Christmas special. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. Hopefully it won't get quite as loose as last year. I think we should have a little lunch before we do it. Don't you?
Game.
Good stuff. See you then. Have a cracking week in the meantime. But from all of us, bye for now.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.